Hello everybody. So today, following on from the previous video where we carved this amazing gem, I'm going to go through the Cerium Oxide polishing in a little more detail because people have been asking about it. Some people are saying that the Cerium Oxide's actually going backwards and not only making no difference, but it's actually making it look a bit foggier. So I think I can think of a few reasons why that might be, because I've seen it happen before as well when I've been doing it in the past. So this is the Cerium Oxide that I use. If we zoom right in, you'll notice that the colour is not the white version. I think they call this one the red version, but people call it all sorts of different colours. The key things that you want to be able to see in your Cerium Oxide and feel is it should be like rice flour. It should be really fine. If you have a really close look at it, you shouldn't be seeing any kind of graininess or any kind of sand-like qualities to it. It should literally be as soft and fluffy as you can humanly get it. I've seen some cheaper stuff have a bit more of a sandier grip, and of course that's going to set you back when you're doing if you're like me and you're doing a 3000 on your Nova point, and you go to some grainy kind of Cerium Oxide, then you're going to end up going backwards from 3000, so that's why it'd start getting foggy again. Because you see it foggy at like 600, so maybe your Cerium Oxide's a bit low quality. This is pretty cheap stuff though. This cost me next to nothing. I think I actually got it shipped in from overseas, but it's at a high enough quality that I can get a nice finish on an opal. You have to be especially careful with opal because it's such a soft material compared to some other gemstones and glass and the likes. So, how do I use it? What I do is I mix up a slurry in this lidded container. I just have a lidded container so it doesn't dry between uses, because I'm using it fairly regularly anyway, once a day or so, currently, thanks to Corona. So if we open up that lid, you can see that on the bottom that there's a little bit of water. It kind of separates out after it hasn't been used for a couple hours. So we just mix that back up. But this is the same powder, just mixed in with a minimal amount of water, and you want to look for a bit of a toothpaste kind of consistency. So here's the felt tip. They stay the same color as the Cerium Oxide over time because, well, it just gets impregnated into the felt. And you can see here that it's a little bit thin, but that's just because it hasn't been mixed in very well. But it should clump to the end of your tip. Now when you turn this on, it's going to spray all against the walls, which is what you see around here. So you just want to give it a quick buzz. Let's see if I can do this while the camera still remains on. Bam, and your tip's loaded. So you can see there's still heaps on there. You're just not using way too much. And then you're basically rubbing this against your opal. And I'll switch to that kind of perspective now. Here it is. I've got the shield so that all the splatterings get around the outside and not all over my desk. That's the opal in there. Awkward positioning. Angle down a bit more. And what you want to do with this is you want to be able to put very minimal pressure, because you've done such a good job in getting rid of any of the scratches or anything so far. And you're just buffing. Just think of it as buffing. You're really lightly doing this. You're just touching the stone and letting the Cerium Oxide do the work. And the key to being able to get a really good polish is to be able to do it until the Cerium Oxide and the tip get dry. So if you're just constantly re-dipping your tip and then, re-dipping your tip and then applying it to the stone and re-dipping it, and it's always this kind of wet consistency, you don't get the finish that you're looking for. I find that if you grind it long enough for the tip and the stone to get dry, I know we're really used to keeping everything wet to keep the dust down, but this doesn't cause too much dust anyway. But if you let it get dry and you just grind away until the window that you're grinding, actually the Cerium Oxide disappears from it and gets pushed down, and you can actually see the surface of the gem. That's how you get the fine mirror kind of polish. So I'll mute myself here and I'll just show you what I mean. Right, so and there it is. If we zoom in, you can have a look. You saw this area was all covered in Cerium Oxide for a while, but as it dries out and you keep rubbing up against it, it becomes like this, and you get a clear window into the opal. And you can see that it's polished up much nicer than what it was beforehand already. And that's just over one pass. What you want to do at this point is rotate the stone so that all this Cerium Oxide from this end now gets smeared and you go back in the opposite direction. So the same thing will happen where you're grinding away at this, if I can keep it on camera, you're grinding away at this until all that Cerium Oxide gets pushed to the other end, the one that you just finished. And then you'll have the clear window here, and that's when you're pretty happy with this side being pretty good as well. And you just keep doing this. Do it from different directions. Towards the end, do a bit of a swirly kind of pattern, a circular motion. And yeah, you'll easily get a really nice finish on that gem. So hopefully that helps. It's something that a lot of people have asked me about, and I've tried explaining, and it's really hard to explain without a video, so it was well worth doing a video for. But yeah, that's the secret to it. You just want to do it for long enough that you get that clear window forming and you can see that the opal has gotten shinier. So yeah, make sure your Cerium Oxide is the right kind of quality. You want that optical grade kind of stuff. It can be white, it can be pink. The colour doesn't seem to matter. I like the pink just because I can see it a bit more if it gets stuck into a hole or a crack on a lot of the opals. Because I work so much Cooper Pedy white opal, I find that the white Cerium Oxide, I just don't have that clear definition, and I can't see how well it's worked or not. But with the red or pink or brown or whatever they call it, you get to see this clear colouring and you know where it is. And then when you're finished with all of this, I'll just scrape some of this off so I can reuse it. So once you're finished with all of this, you basically just give this a bit of a wash in water. It'll be pretty clean. It'll be much cleaner than this. So I've left a lot on. It'll look a bit more like that. And then you just give this a nice little wash in water. If you really have something getting like a staining that won't come off, what you can do is use this same tip and wash it, basically. Wash it in a tub of water and then use the wash tip. And you'll see a bit of a watered down version of the Cerium Oxide. Brought in the same tub of water that I use for the polishing. But yeah, if you can just basically wash the stone, wash the tip. Of course it'll get real cloudy. This stuff goes into water pretty well, but yeah, sometimes the staining can stay on your stone for quite a while. It's a lot easier if you don't have any inclusions. And then basically you just rub, well, you turn it on. I just don't want to because it'll pick up on the microphone. And you just keep going. Eventually the tip gets a lot cleaner, the stone gets a lot cleaner, and you end up just basically buffing with felt. And that too can help a little bit with the final polish. And one thing to keep in mind though, when you're doing it with just felt, is that your felt tip will wear out pretty quick if you do it like that. So yeah, you'll start seeing some felt fibers and whatnot coming off your stone or getting caught on the edges and all sorts of that kind of stuff. And even though the felt tips aren't that expensive, it is a cost, and I just order a couple hundred from China basically and put them to work. So I'm not overly worried about a couple cents. But if you actually buy them if you buy the Dremel branded stuff from the hardware store, that stuff is actually really pricey. So you want to look after your tips and get as much use out of them as possible. But yeah, hopefully that explanation helps out a lot of people. I've already had multiple people asking me about it, so yeah, that's how I get it to work. And I've tried a lot of other methods, and I'm sticking with this one. It seems to go pretty well for me, and I get a really, really nice finish. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video.